All right, we have our favorite blogger with us, David Codrea. Hey, David, how are you?
James, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Hey, I hear it's warming up out there.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we got up to 34 today, so I decided I wasn't going to do the treadmill. The wife walked me around the neighborhood. So, we're getting back into springtime here.
All right, now I know that you had a look at what was going on with the McDonald case. And I know that you wanted to express some opinion on this. Tell us from your viewpoint what you see going on here.
Basically, I see some hopeful signs in terms of getting this resolved on the theory of due process. As you're aware, there was some controversy on this case. First of all, when NRA came in and got 10 minutes accorded to them to present their case, it's turning out that that was probably a good thing, because I've gone through the transcripts, and while Mr. Gura did a wonderful job, it seemed that the Supreme Court was pretty challenging of his privileges and immunities approach. And that's not to say that that won't factor into the decision, but it really did seem that they were a lot more attentive and less interrupting when Mr. Clement, representing the National Rifle Association, came on and brought things back into the realm of arguing due process. And so it's looking like, and of course nobody really knows what the decision is going to be, but it's looking like there's a good chance that the Second Amendment is going to be ruled as applicable to the states. What is unknown at this point is, what are they really going to give us? You know, they spent a lot of time talking about what they considered to be reasonable in terms of regulations and restrictions, and they didn't spend any time arguing what we all know to be the fact, and that is that the right of the people shall not be infringed, which is what the Second Amendment states. So it's concerning, and they kind of gave that indication in Heller. Justice Scalia, even though he's widely perceived as being a very conservative and constitutionalist judge, seemed in the Heller case to be giving out a blueprint for the types of things that they would find acceptable at the state and the city level. And I'm looking for more of that type of language to come out of the McDonald case.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I was very surprised to learn that we were actually going to get some sort of a determination in just the next couple of months. I mean, I thought this thing would stretch on like the Heller case, quite frankly. So I'm a little surprised. Are you?
It's been a long time coming, and so I think that what we're going to do is we're going to reach a point where this is going to be kind of settled law. Then it's going to be up to the states and cities to work out various regulations and for people to challenge it. And what we have to remember is all that has to happen for the law to stand, at least in certain jurisdictions, is for the Supreme Court to say, you know what, we've heard enough, we're not going to hear anymore. So who knows, if New York City's refusal to do shall issue concealed carry would be something that they would consider, or if California's ban on 50 calibers and their California semi-automatic ban would be subject to a challenge that the Supreme Court would hear. And of course, out there, the Ninth Circuit is pretty anti-right to keep and bear arms. So, we can't really say that everything is going to start falling. I think we're going to see some things fall, some things kind of established, but in terms of getting our hopes up that a lot of things are going to happen and all the dominoes are going to fall into place the way we want them to be, I'm not seeing that.
Okay, so it's pretty safe to assume then, even after the Supreme Court rules, based upon what you just told me, there can be many more challenges to that decision.
I think that there will be many more. I think what you're going to see is that the people like the Brady campaign are going to do exactly what they did after Heller. They're going to forget everything they ever said before about the Second Amendment not being an individual right, and they're going to get onto the bandwagon of, well, see, now you don't have to worry about the slippery slope of us being able to ban guns, and so now we can talk about reasonable regulations. And of course, reasonable is in the eye of the beholder, and if you take a look at what the facts are, none of them are really reasonable because none of them do what they purport to do.
Okay. All right. Well, I think you and I are going to be discussing this then for months to come. Yeah.
I think so.
You agree with that? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on. What are you working on?
Oh, well, gee, I'm gonna, as soon as I, see what other people are saying, I owe the magazine an article on this. I promised my editor, my deadline was Monday, and I said, look, you can't make me turn something in before Tuesday. I got to see, what these cats on the Supreme Court say. So he agreed to extend me to the end of the week. But for right now, you and I were talking earlier about that poor teacher who was stalked at school and killed. And this is in spite of the fact that the murderer had a gun in a no-gun zone, which by her being law-abiding, she could not have. This is in spite of the fact that there was a restraining order against this maniac who stalked her and killed her. And so that was one of the stories I worked on recently. And of course, if you saw my Gun Rights Examiner column today, I was talking about a very famous supermodel who is all for gun control, and at the same time all for supporting dictators who impose gun control, and all for slapping her hired help around. And that was the Naomi Campbell story that I wrote about on today's Gun Rights Examiner. So as I've talked to you about before, it's never a shortage of what there is to write about or talk about. The real dilemma is, what can't I talk about, because there simply isn't enough of me.
And that's exactly why, viewers, if you're not getting David's blog, you should be. And davidcodrea.com will get you there. We'll get you through all of the other publications and everything else that he's written. David, you do a wonderful job, and I thank you for taking the time to come on and commenting on the McDonald case. And like I said, I think we'll be talking about it for months.
James, always a pleasure.
See you next week.
Thank you.